Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. Today we're going to be taking a quick break from our budget deck content and we're going to be looking at what cards you should pick up before Tales of Aria releases. The set's coming out in about 2 weeks now, and there's some good cards that we know are going to help the classes coming out in Tales of Aria. The classes are Guardian for Oldhim, Ranger for Lexi, and Runeblade for Briar. So we're going to be mostly looking at cards that already exist for those classes that can help out these new classes. So first, we're going to start with Welcome to Wrath cards. The main one is Tectonic Plating. This card's already gone up a little bit. I think a few months ago it was about 80 bucks, and now it's at 115. This is going to be almost certainly the chess piece that you're going to typically run on Oldhim. Battle Worn 2, blocks for 3, it's amazing in total. And then the action makes your attacks cheaper when you want to set up. So this is like a key part of Bravo's gameplay already for Guardian, and I'm certain that it will be important for Oldhim as well. He might run the Heart of Ice, which is going to be an ice chest, but I think that is going to be mostly. Let's see if we can even get there. This card is going to be likely only for certain matchups. Um, matchups where they're trying to this stops them from using defense reactions on your turn. So maybe in the control mirror you'd play this, or if you need Arcane Barrier, it's better than Null Rune chest. So I'm sure you'll play this, but I don't think it'll be the primary chest piece for Oldhim. On the same path, you're not going to be wanting to run a lot of generic Guardian actions on Oldhim because he's mostly wanting to run elemental actions so he can get his fuse actions off, right? So he wants to fuse a lot. He needs a lot of ice and earth action cards, or just cards in general, so that he can actively get off his really powerful fuse effects. But if he is going to want to run any just generic Guardian actions, Spinal Crush is going to be one of them. This has one of the most important crush effects out of any crush in the game. This will stop them from using, being able to get go again on their attacks, which is really important against pretty much the strongest decks in the meta. Chain right now, and I'm sure Briar will be powerful as well. And Runeblades especially love to have go again. Powerful aggro decks love to chain together attacks, and making it so they have to block, 5 damage at least here, or sorry, 6 damage to not get crushed. And then, even then, if you can get this dominated, it's going to get through. This is a really powerful attack, and it might be one of the only Guardian generics that Oldhim is comfortable running. So they're only about $6 a piece right now. I'd pick up a playset of 3 if you've got the money for it. And lastly, this one's, I guess, a little different. This is just a really good card, and from what we can see, it looks like the meta is going to slow down a little. Ice is a very controlling element, and it seems pretty powerful. So does Frostbite. And Remembrance was already a good sideboard card that a lot of decks would run 1 or 2 of. It's great in control or fatigue matchups where you're going to be going through your whole deck. It's basically 3 extra cards on its own, right? So you're plus 2 cards after you play this, and it lets you shuffle 3 action cards from your graveyard into your deck, usually 3 reds that are just really powerful that you want for later in the game. I was already running 2 in a lot of my sideboards, and sometimes I was running 1 in like my Ira Blitz deck because it was a good mirror breaker against other Ira decks when we would try to fatigue each other. So it's already a great card. I could see running like 3 if Ice gets really popular. I mean, it makes your deck go plus 6 essentially if you're running all 3 in deck size. It's just really good. It just does a lot that you want to do in a fatigue matchup. And at only $4 a card, I would make sure you have a playset of this before we get into a controlling meta. Moving on to the next set, Arcane Rising. I think the obvious Runeblade equipment of arms is Grasp of the Arknight. I'm not for sure that this is going to be what she wants to run, since it doesn't, she doesn't synergize amazingly with Runechants, and that's not really what Briar is trying to do. But it does have Battle Worn 2, which is always good. Being able to block for 2 and then block for 1 is just powerful, and if she needs something that can block efficiently, she will run Grasp of the Arknight. There is her good lightning arms that we're gonna see. If I passed them, I totally did. They're down below. These I'm certainly she'll run too. Spell Void's nice in matchups where there's arcane damage coming in. And if she wants to do a deal damage effect off an attack, the instant's good as well. So I'm sure she'll run these, but they don't block at all, right? So Grasp of the Arcanite is going to do a lot more, pull a lot more weight in matchups where you know you're going to be taking damage. Maybe in like a ninja matchup, blocking, a, some attacks, some Kodachis in there. Matchups where they're really aggressive. You probably won't run this in a control matchup, right? Because why do you care about blocking for 2 and then for 1 against a control deck? But it will be good against the meta, especially if it has some aggressive decks still in there even after Ice comes out. Command and Conquer, a lot of people that have invested money in this game already have a playset, but I just sort of want to remind how important this card is, how good it is, especially with Ranger getting more powerful, gonna have 2 Arsenal slots. It says destroy all cards in Arsenal. If they have both if they have 2 Arsenal slots active and they have a card in each, this will blow up both. Amazing card. That's why it's the most expensive Majestic in the game at about $95 right now. It's just an amazing card. You should have a playset of this. You should be running it in about 80% of your decks. Not every deck's going to run this card, but it's hard to think of some decks that aren't going to want to make use of this card. On the same vein, if you're going to be playing some Briar, maybe even some Lexi, Art of War is just a really gas card to let you go even longer, extend your turns, giving go again, giving increased power, cycling a little. So this card's great. It looks like there might be some Spring Tunic still played on Lexi maybe, since I don't think we have a great chess piece for her right now from what I understand, other than the Heart of Ice, which you're not going to always want to run. So if she's playing Tunic, this card gets even better. I would definitely want to have a playset of this as well. Maybe not as important as Command and Conquer, but a playset of this. And then lastly, 3 of a kind. Once again, similar with how I talked about Oldhim, Lexi is not going to be wanting to run a ton of generics that aren't in her elements, that aren't ice or lightning for her, because she wants to be able to get her fuses off efficiently. So I'm sure it's going to be similar to like Dash, who only wants 3 to 6 generics. It'll be similar to where you don't want a ton. But if you're running generics, 3 of a kind is just amazing when you have 2 Arsenal slots. It was already a pretty good card in the Ranger deck, and Azalea was already able to make good use of it. But when you have 2 Arsenals, that means you can. The drawback isn't really a drawback, especially with her bow that lets you Arsenal twice. This card is basically just 1 resource draw 3 with no downside a lot of the time. And 1 resource draw 3 is probably the best rate in the game. So this card, it's already gone up a bit. I remember when it was like $2 when no one played Azalea, so it's already gone up. But if you plan on playing Lexi, I'm fairly confident you'll need a playset of this. Moving on to Crucible of War, still on Lexi, Remorseless is a really powerful generic ranger attack. I'm not confident on this one, to be honest, since like I said, I don't know how much she wants generic ranger attacks, but if Azalea gets any better, from the new ranger support, she'll be playing this card for sure, and there is a chance that Lexi will be wanting to play this card, so it's gone up a bit also, as a lot of the stuff for these 3 classes have, but it might be safe to pick up this. If you're not planning on playing Lexi, obviously you don't need to worry about it, but this card is probably going to be played in her in some amount, maybe sideboard since it does mess with defense reactions. It's just a great card. Perch Grapplers. I think Lexi will probably be on Snapdragon Scalers because it's such a good equipment. But similar to what I talked about before with Grasp of the Arcanite, in aggro matchups, this is a block 2, which you can't say for Snapdragon. So if she's trying to be more controlling, maybe if Lexi Ice, if she's like more of a mono Ice deck that wants to be more controlling, Perch Grapplers, it's just a solid block 2. That's worth about 60% of a card, blocking for 2, right? So being able to do that for free is great. They're not that expensive right now, so picking up a copy of Perch Grapplers if you're going to play Lexi, especially if you think you're going to be more control Lexi, seems like a safe idea. Pretty much same boat with Crater Fist, except it blocks a little more. I don't know if Oldhim has any great arms. I don't think we've seen any amazing ones. So this blocks for 3. You might not even, probably will never use the action, just like Bravo played these and never use the action. You just block for 2, and then you block for 1, and then they get destroyed by Temper, and you're happy with that. That's 3 block in total for free. It's about $20 right now. If you plan on playing Oldhim, you'll probably want a copy of Crater Fist to throw in there. Stamp Authority, I am not sure on this card, mainly because it says card effects don't trigger when they hit, and it looks like Legend Story Studios is moving a little bit away from on-hit triggers to when they deal damage triggers for attacks. Especially in this set particularly, a lot of cards just say when this deals damage, and they can get over with other effects like dealing arcane damage or shock charmers dealing some extra damage. So this card might not be amazing, but it'll still be good against all cards from the older sets, and it's still a solid card. So if you think you're going to be an Oldhim, I think this card has a chance to see play. Uh, but I'm not confident on this one. On the other boat, I am very confident on this card. I think Briar will certainly want to be on this card. She wants to get her ability off every turn, where she plays 2 non-attack actions and then an attack action. The 2 non-attack actions, when you play your second one, you get a token that gives you your next attack action go again. And then after the attack action, you can use your weapon, right? So your play pattern is going to be play a non-attack action, play a non-attack action, play an attack action that gets go again from your token, and then swing your through weapon, right? That's a really solid aggro game plan, and this card just helps a lot. It just draws one card. It just draws one card, which is solid. I mean, maybe it can draw 2 cards if they have a Gorganian Tome in their graveyard, but usually it's just a 0-cost draw card with go again. So it'll fulfill her condition of one of the 2 non-attack actions with go again you want. It filters itself. Aggro decks like to have small decks to be able to get their good cards fast, and this decreases your deck size effectively by 1. We don't really care that it doesn't pitch or block, because you're probably going to be full aggro on Briar, from what I can tell. She doesn't seem like amazing at blocking. Her Earth seems like she might be able to be a bit of a mid-range deck if she's able to block like that, but she looks like she can put out a ton of damage, especially with her Duskblade weapon. So I think this is going to be a great... Obviously, you only need one of this one, which is nice, but this seems like a great one-up to pick up. Poison Tips is probably going to be good. I don't know if you're going to want 3 copies in Lexi, but this basically means they have to full block every arrow, because if they don't block, they just discard the card anyways that they would have blocked with. So it's a really good card. Costs 0, has go again, makes your arrows just smack them. If you're playing a more lightning variant of Lexi that is getting a bunch of swings in every turn, 2 to 3 to 4 arrow swings every turn, Poison the Tips will be great. In a control variant, maybe not as much. If you're only swinging with 1 or 2 arrows a turn, this isn't going to do as much. But if Lightning Lexi is a thing, Poison the Tips will be a thing as well, to put pressure on. It'll be especially good against, because control decks are going to be blocking anyways, so it'll be especially good against maybe like other aggro decks that don't want to block, where you force their hand and say you have to block this. Righteous Cleansing, a great Oldhim card. This, it's already a great Guardian card. This might be one of the generics he wants to play. It's the second biggest Guardian swing in the game, I believe. I'm not sure about Tales of Aria cards, so there might be one that's as big now, but Crippling Crush, which he can't play anyways, swings for 11. This one swings for 10. Just a huge swing. It's a great card. I'm not as confident on this one as I am about Spinal Crush, because this card just does so much with its crush effect. But this card has a solid crush effect too, kind of getting rid of some of their key cards that you find off the top. And just swing for 10 is just a lot. I mean, it's a quarter of their health in Classic Constructed. It's half their health in Blitz. 10 is just a huge swing. They're going to have to block it. I mean, who wants to take 10 usually? I guess they don't have to, but it's going to be really bad if they don't. So it's a solid card. It's $7 a card. I'd pick up a few copies if you're going to play Oldhim. Skullhorn is not a card we care about. Rouse the Ancients, though, is a card we care about. This card is pretty solid. There's not a ton of stuff for Monarch that I could find, so I tried to find 3 cards still that I thought would work for Monarch. I think maybe Oldhim could play this card. I really don't think this card's going to see play. I'm just trying to find some cards for Monarch that you could pick up. It's just such a weak set compared to a lot of the other sets right now. All it gave us is a really broken Hero and Chain, but I'm not sure. I mean, maybe this will see play in Oldhim. It could get 7 and go again for 3, but I don't think it's what he wants. There are 2 cards, a few cards that I will talk about, like Sonata Arcanix is a non-attack action with go again that you can play for 0. I can certainly see Briar playing 3 copies just to have another. Like I said, she really wants on attack actions that cost 0. They printed a ton in Tales of Aria, so she might not need to take from any other set. But if she does, this card draws you some cards. It has Go Again. It costs 0 if you want. So I don't see any reason she wouldn't play this unless she has just so many other options. Then last, this is not just Carrion Husk. Mostly I just want to talk about how Chain is probably going to still be very relevant since they printed a lot of Runeblade support in this set. And so I would pick up Chain cards from Monarch if you still have interest in playing him, and you don't have the cards yet. We got Carrion Husk, some of his other important cards, Eclipse, Shadow Puppetry. The Chain cards are just powerful, Shadow of Ursur. If you are still interested in playing Chain, he probably will still have legs, since they are printing the Runeblade support, like I said. Duskblade seems to be a pretty absurd card from what we can see. This card looks like it'll still be quite powerful against Chain. Effectively, it increases his attack every turn with no way for the opponent to prevent it that easily. It could be a 1 cost swing for 6 or 7 on your 4th, 5th turn. So it's a very powerful card, and I'm not confident, but I'm pretty confident every Runeblade is going to be picking up this weapon and just trying to run it. It's just that powerful. So I think Chain will still have legs. They printed some good some good legs for him. But yeah, they just printed a lot of Runeblade support for the already strongest hero in the game that is a Runeblade. We still have some cards to find out, I guess. I don't think this is that updated, actually. He might play this Majestic, too. Anyways, he seems like he's going to be in a good spot still. He always had a pretty good matchup against Control, since he could set up really big turns at the end of the game with, big 7 banishes. They couldn't put on enough pressure against him early, and he would just smack them like, Control Cats, who had an awful matchup against Chain. And it seems like it'll maybe stay the same, depending on the, he might be weak to Frostbite tokens, but he might be able to get through that at the end of the game. So Chain's still probably gonna have some legs. But yeah, if you have any questions, if you have anything that you think is going to be good to pick up before Tales of Aria, put it in the comments so everyone can see if I missed anything. Tell me who you're excited to play. I'm probably going to pick up all 3 heroes and try them out. Briar looks really fun to me. So does Oldhim. I really liked Bravo, so I'll probably pick up those 2. Lexi, I wasn't huge on Ranger, to be honest, but Lexi looks like she could still kind of be fun. The Arsenal manipulation doesn't, get that itch for me necessarily, but Briar and Oldhim definitely look fun, and I'm sure I'll try Lexi out too just to see if I like her. Maybe when I play her, she'll be just amazing and it'll change my mind. But yeah, thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what other videos you want me to make. I'm going to be making a viewer asked for a deck tech on Levia, so I'm working with a friend named Rabbit in my area who's really good at Levia, and I'm going to make a video on that, and I'll be doing a wrap-up of Vegas this weekend. Even though I'm not there, going to talk a bit about how it went. Going to do a Monarch Classic Constructed meta wrap at the end, and then start moving on to Tales of Aria content, I guess. Have a great weekend, everyone.